Brian Vickers, that's like right down its own zip code.
Brian Vickers does it at Michigan. Great job, guys. Hell yeah!
Brian Vickers on the pole at Chicago.
The finally pulling victory lane it meant the world.
After a great regular season, the reset Sprint Cup points show Brian Vickers 8th and charging. A clutch performance at Richmond last night, a do-or-die 7th place finish, 2 spots behind Kyle Busch, putting Vickers in the chase and Busch out. And with that, it's a pleasure to welcome Brian back to Wind Tunnel. Hey, BV, congratulations on making the chase. How about the celebration? Did it go well into the night?
It did. The U.S. Open got postponed. The finals got postponed to tomorrow, and that's probably for the better.
The U.S. Open up there in one of your hometowns, New York. You've got residences all over the place, but we were impressed last night to hear you were going off to celebrate at the tennis tournament. You may know one of the things we do here every week, the Golden Corral, help yourself to happiness moment from the racing weekend. Kind of a no-brainer this week. You had to help yourself in the late laps last night when Kyle Busch beat you out of the pits on the last stop. No one else to help you. Kenseth having gone a lap down, you and Kyle one-on-one for 12th in the points and the last spot in the chase. If Kevin Harvick passed you, you were out. If you passed Sam Hornish, you were in with room to spare, and that is exactly what happened. You helped yourself to the 7th place finish and a shot at the title. So with the commercial out of the way, from your perspective, those last few laps, how intense was the pressure?
It was intense. You know, it was funny. Most of the race, I never even really thought about it that much. I just focused on the car in front of me, you know, what the car was doing, just running the best race I could, not making mistakes, being very patient. And then the second to the last run, we had a really good car, and we were charging. We were in 4th. We were running down Kurt Busch for 3rd. I kind of started to think about it a little bit. I was like, you know what? We may have this thing. We may have it. And if we can just finish this out. I did not want to see a caution because just so many things can go wrong.
You didn't need that yellow, yeah.
No, we didn't. The yellow came out. You know, I'm not going to beat up on the guys. I mean, we did lose 3 spots. We lost some spots. It put us behind Kyle coming out of the pits, which was devastating. But they did a great job all night long. There was a lot of stops where we gained 3 spots or we held our own. So they did good all night long. You can't expect every single spot, every single time you pit to gain spots. But that was not the time we wanted to lose 3 spots. You know, and at that point, I knew it was tight. The pressure was on. They told me I kind of knew essentially what I had to do. Ryan said, listen, we've got to stay within a couple spots, Kyle. And if we do, you know, we're going to be in. And, you know, that's pretty much what it came down to.
How personal is it between you and Kyle? I mean, we recall the run-in you had after the nationwide race at Michigan. The YouTube video, that media center interview is just classic. Do you take additional pleasure and satisfaction from the fact that it was him that you beat out of that championship slot?
No, I really don't. Somebody asked me that same question last night. I don't take any additional pleasure in it. You know, I take pleasure in the fact that we're in the chase. You know, every athlete, I think every person's different. There's people who, you know, on their desk at work face their pictures towards them, and there's people who face their pictures away from them. You know, or do you have the trophy for you, or do you have it to prove to someone else? And for me, it's always, my pictures always face me, and, you know, my accomplishments and things that we accomplished as a team, you know, I think we should be proud of just internally. And it doesn't matter where anyone else finishes. You know, to answer your question more directly, you know, Kyle and I obviously don't have the best relationship. We haven't always seen eye to eye. We have 2 different personalities, and that's okay. You know, it's fine. It is what it is. Everybody wants to make it out to be more than it is. Obviously, Michigan, we were both extremely mad at each other. The past couple weeks at Atlanta and Bristol, Atlanta, and at Richmond, I got to be honest with you. You know, we've had some good, hard, clean racing. You know, whatever changed, it's great right now. I have no complaints. I can't complain anything about the way he's raced me the past 3 weeks, and I'd hope to think that he'd say the same thing.
Let's talk about how far this team has come. It was a startup with Toyota in 07. You left Hendrick Motorsports, having scored your first Cup win. In the first year with that team, 38th in points and didn't qualify 13 times. And from there, you go to this year with the win and 6 poles and 13 top 10s and winding up in the chase. The first question out of that, did you know in your gut when you signed on with these guys that first year was going to be so brutal? 13 races is a lot to miss. Did that catch you off guard?
Are you kidding me? Absolutely. going to a new team, and this is a new team. There's been, teams that's been, started or changed, ownerships have changed, mergers have happened. They're kind of new, but they're not. This was a new team. I mean, I was one of the first employees there. We didn't have a toolbox, much less a race car. And, I knew from the beginning we were going to be starting from scratch. Obviously, you'd have to be, you're not looking at the situation in a realistic manner if you don't know that you're going to have some struggles the first year. Did I think we would miss a race? I knew it was possible, but I didn't think we'd miss a race, much less 13. So I got to be honest with you, it was devastating. I mean, missing that first race, the first race I ever missed in my entire career.
Yeah.
Not being at the racetrack when you're supposed to be there, that is a hard pill to swallow. Sitting at home watching the Daytona 500, I said to myself, man, I never want to be back in this position. But that being said, I don't regret the decision. I went there knowing that it was going to be tough. Not that tough, but knowing it was going to be tough, but really looking at the potential and what the opportunity presented and where we could take the team. You had Red Bull, you had Toyota, you had some great people around the program, great organizations backing the program with all the possibilities in the world. The limits were sky high, and I knew it was going to take a lot of work and time. But, I feel like we were finally starting to get there. Ultimately, the final goal is to win a championship. Going into this season, we had 3 goals: to sit on a pole, win a race, and be in the chase. And now we've accomplished all those 3. And, of course, as greedy competitors, as racers, now we want to go win a championship. But, at the end of the day, we've accomplished our goals this year, and I couldn't be more proud of the team.
Going to head to break on that note. I want you to check this out as we do that. Who knew that Brian Vickers has a little Matt Mladen in him? Check that out. And there are certain perks to being a Red Bull driver, assuming that you think that risking your life alongside a crazy helicopter pilot amped up on Red Bull is a perk. We'll ask BV about all that when we come back. You may know that Brian Vickers has become a skydiving enthusiast. Red Bull encourages things like jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. But did you know that Vickers also does a solid Matt Mladen imitation? Right down to the knee on the ground. Good form, BV. Always look where you want to go. And there's this.